Hi guys, so welcome back to my channel. So today I'm doing something a bit more personal that has come based on a certain season I'm going through, and it was inspired by my childhood picture. I've been switching up my childhood pictures here and there, and I even have a page on Instagram for a memoir of like when I was a child and a teenager. And I honestly did not know that my childhood picture inspired me to what to this degree today. Recently, I have been having such a hard time um, with my thoughts. No, not such a hard time per se. As a business person, like as a creative, like I've been having the usual turbulence, and while I have keyed into other people, like my father, affirming me when I spoke to him about it, and my friend pretty much telling me yesterday, she looked at me and she said, Ekab, you're an artist, you need to embrace that. Like that's what you need to start thinking yourself as first of all. And you think that I'm somebody that has already embraced the fact that I'm an artist and I'm a creative, I'm a designer, but like there's a notion in my head I grew up with that artists don't make a lot of money, or like, but I see people make money with art, but that's not the crux of today. Today I'm celebrating the girl that has now graced my phone wallpaper, the first of many. I don't think I've ever used my picture as my phone screens. I can't remember the last time I did that anyway, but the girl with the broken teeth that showed so much strength and resilience. I never like sat down to think about my childhood like in some sort of wholesome way, as per, oh, this girl can motivate me, or this girl can remind me to be who I planned out to be, right? So first of all, when I was a child, I wanted to be an accountant so bad, because I had this fascination with the way my father calculated numbers when he was helping me with mathematics assignments. And I'd say, oh my god, I want to calculate like that. I didn't know that my dad had a gift for numbers at that time, but I was thinking, oh, he does that, I want to do that, I want to be an accountant, and I went out to be an accountant anyway, but I really did not enjoy the profession. Sorry, accountants. And that just, my creative side came out, right? I had a creative side when I was a child. I had a side that was inspired by my sister. My sister was such an artsy, creative person. She used to make comics and paint them, and like people will read, I'll read. Oh my god, I had such a good time. She'll have like books and books of comics, and she's such a great storyteller. She inspired like the creative I am today, my sister. And so looking at that picture, why it inspires me now is because I remember like a lot of things I had to go through as a child. Now not in the painful side, in the side where my dad would say, you were such a resilient child. The moment I was in my primary school that had a swimming pool, I said, Daddy, I want to learn how to swim. And I spent 3 summers learning how to be perfect, so I'll be able to swim in the deep end. And when I learned that, I started doing inter and intra competitions. And in one of the competitions, right, I got drowned. So I was swimming, and I was at the end, and it was just left for me to touch the slab. I think I was even the first, and I just drowned. And the next thing I saw was like, they were bringing me out, and then there were people around shouting, cheering. I was hearing noise, and that for me would have been a very traumatic thing, where I would say I'm never going to swim, because the pool that I swam in was 2 times deeper than the one I was used to. And if I knew I was drowning, of course I would have treaded. Like that's why I had swimming practice, right? But that would have been a traumatic thing to tell me, okay, I would never swim again. But after that, I swam in the Atlantic Ocean. Guys, I had this leadership thing, and part of it was swimming. I remember people saying, "You want to enter that water?" And I said, "Yes, I'm going to enter that water." And I swam so well that the swimming instructor was like, "Oh, you know how to swim? Oh my God, you did so well!" And I was so glad, right? And so when I look at that girl, I see that girl that pushed when she drowned. She went back and back again. I remember when we were practicing for competitions, we would use this swimming instrument where it keeps us afloat on the water while we're kicking, and that thing hurts because you're doing laps back to back. You're diving, you're learning how to dive, you're swimming. Your diving needs to be up. Like, thinking about that girl, that swimmer girl, it reminds me of that child that did not think of anything else. She didn't think of, oh, is this a monetary thing? Is this? She just thought that I want to swim and I'll be damn good at it. It reminds you of that girl that sat down in the art room in the art studio, one of the art studios in her primary school, and talked to her art teacher about art while overlooking the ravine that showed the other side of Ikeja. She was so interested in art, in glitter, in colors. She would sit down there and watch him create new things for hours. One of the things that also inspired me, Mr. Ramsey, my art teacher. I remember that girl that would be in between shelves in the library looking for books to get. This inspired my creativity. I just remember that the girl I was is the girl I am now, but in a much deeper sense. I remember the girl that won the writing competition for the British Council when she was 8 years old and got invited. I remember the girl that composed the second stanza of Now the Day is Over because she thought that you needed the second stanza. I remember the girl that would race in the playing ground on equipment. I remember the girl that tried to swing so high because she wanted to see how high she could go. The girl that stared at those high jump poles as they went higher as she crossed the feet. Staring at those poles, I just think about it like me now. I would feel like my body would not carry me, but me that time, I would look at it and say, I got this. There's a form after that, and I would jump and I would get there. The girl that ran races, that created strategies to run races and won medals, the girl that swam and won medals, that's the girl that is in me. And for some reason, being a teenager, being an adult has like kind of covered that, somehow forgotten who I was, who I am, forgotten the girl that I always was. It's like, now that I'm thinking about it, for someone to bring me back to my base and tell me, Ekab, you're an artist. I am an artist. And recording this thing I think it's somewhat of a diary session where it's like sometimes the motivation you need is like in your past, right? Because honestly, the one thing I would say that I would have done differently is I'd have just prayed, God, hold me, help me. But I remember that girl that read Soprano Quincy, that read any Blytons, that read different books and learned about cultures, learned about people, learned about places, learned about adventure, that built things in her head. Where did I lose her? I don't even know. But as much as I know, I feel like sometimes we just need to go back to who we once were and like think, what would this version of me have said to this? The version of me, Ekab, that I was in the swimming pool would have said, what are you doing? Why are you soaking? Are you gonna work or not? You know? Like, you're going to be there sitting and soaking and you're not going to try out if you're really an artist, maybe try out. You know? And it's just there's so many things I remember of me, and I'm trying to like think about them in that sense, and I can't remember every single thing, but one thing I remember is the fact that I loved puzzles too. And for some reason, I ordered this book like about 2 weeks ago, and I didn't get it until yesterday. And when I got it, people were asking me like, "Is it for you? Who are you buying it for?" And I'm like, "I'm buying it for myself." And they're like, "Oh, it's an easy puzzle." Da, 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 da. But things like this somehow bring me back to my base somehow, and I understand when people say, "Oh, this is something I used to do as a child," and somehow it just calms me, it soothes me. I think that sometimes we need to channel who we are as kids. You know, there was also pain in my upbringing as well, but I choose today to look at the side where I was Ekab the inspirer, Ekab the pusher, Ekab the resilient one, and help myself to advance further and allow that girl to show up more, not heap and truncate her with all the trauma that I've gone through as an adult, as a teenager, from different things, right? Just allow her to shine a bit and tell her that everything is going to be all right. You know, I think that that's something you should dig up your old picture today, and you know, you will be amazed what you remember about that child. Think about the good parts. Think about the good parts. They're always good parts. I want to believe. So yeah. Okay. So my next video, I don't know when that is. I don't want to promise things that I cannot deliver, because yeah. But I don't want to promise things I'm not going to deliver, but yeah, I'm going to try to keep this channel going until I have a plan. I would not speak on when next time we post. Okay, bye bye. Yeah, I know my hair. Yeah, y'all just face your front and keep it moving. Yeah. Okay, bye guys.